what's crazy, man, I just want to sort of quickly mention something I wrote in 2016, right? So before Falcon, before kid, before I was married.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the Inside the Mind podcast. So in this episode, we will be interviewing one of our students that just passed the funding assessment. I'm so happy for him. Brian, welcome. How are you, mate?
Mark, how you doing? The
Yeah,
man
I'm
himself.
good.
Good to
I'm
talk
good.
to you.
No, likewise, I was really excited to jump on with you, and because I know how important this is to you, for you and your family as well. And I was just really excited that, like, now you're through. I wanted to capture that moment, and I know it will inspire other people as well, and kind of talk through those emotions of how you felt, and just give people a bit of a background information on your story, like kind of how long you've been trading, etc., as to where you've been in trading. And I think what would be really good is just firstly reactions of how you felt with the funded assessment. That's what I want to know first.
Yeah, no, it's a bit surreal, to be honest. I mean, I've been with Falcon now for sort of 3.5 years, so it's felt like a long time coming, but being in that first wave of funding students was cool. But I think we were talking earlier and I said, I just feel like I'm in the right place with the funding. I'm ready for it. And I've been consistent for kind of 18 months, 2 years now. So I said, why not? We've got to go after these things and make it happen. So yeah, just super patient along the way. And when it ticked over to the target there, yeah, I was delighted. And I think I said earlier, I can't believe I'm the first one, which is a bit crazy, but I know there's going to be many to follow. There's so many good traders in the community, and yeah, we just push each other along. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
100%. There are lots of people that are like moments close to breaking through to that have fulfilled their funding kind of challenges, if you like, in terms of their trading days. And this is the thing what I wanted to talk to you about, in terms of this is not something you fluke, which is why I'm so impressed and I'm so excited for people going through, is because you can't fluke it. You know, it takes discipline. You can't just randomly take a couple of trades and here you have 6 figures. Right? So how did you feel through that process of applying that discipline? And talk to me a little bit about risk management as well.
Yeah, look, 100%. And you guys have structured it in a way that you're not just going to fluke a month or two of results and get funded and scale up to kind of big 6-7 figures. It's just not built like that. So it's really purposeful throughout the whole way. So for me, we're low risk traders anyway. That's our style, as you know. So it's nothing new. You just got to stick to what you're doing. So for the assessment phase, I actually went back to take 0.5% risk per trade. Just gives you that buffer, you know, because a good trader, I mean, I'm sure you know yourself, you can take 4 losses, anyone can.
Easy, yeah.
4% down is really nothing, and it's not something to judge yourself on, but it can happen to anyone. So yeah, 0.5% risk, stuck to that. So in essence, had to make 12% to pass the fund, which is really, it's a 6% target, but on half risk, 12%. And took me about 4 months, which is probably bang on for me. I'm around about that 3% a month trader at the moment, but but that's important. That's so powerful. If you just plug in a high 6 or multiple 7-figure account at 3% a month, and that's what people don't realize. They're off chasing 20% a month, and they've just got the wrong mindset. So super powerful. But yeah, the risk management was absolutely critical. And you know, unfortunately, people sometimes have to go through this 2 or 3 times and fail to realize, well, I really do need to stick to my risk, and that's what gets you through. Just patience and risk management. That's it.
100%. And when you think about it, like as what you said, right? No one who has 7 figures, who's trading 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, from experience, right? No one is chasing 20% days, 30% days, because you'll be a billionaire in like 6 months.
Exactly.
It just doesn't work like that. It's a natural thing as you scale up more of your capital. It's almost like a human instinct thing. Like, some people are more risky than others, but you take 5,000 people, 99% of those people, as they get more money, naturally their risk goes down. Like instinctively, you naturally will have an association with money. So you won't just casually go, yeah, you know, I've got 3 million or 30K per trade, I'll just take 4 of those losses. You won't casually just be down 120K before you make one of those, because it's very easy to make more percentage. Just get a tight stop loss. One of them plays out, you make your money. But in actuality, when you're trading, it doesn't work like that. And what I love about what you said, and where your mind clearly is at, is that you're thinking about that scale, knowing the power of 3% a month, 4%, 5% a month. And sometimes, as you know, trades that you take, they will bank 7 and 10 and 12 without you really doing anything. And I love the beauty of that. How are you feeling about, because there's an element of fear of success for people as well, right? Some people have a lack of self-esteem. Some people have to work on these things. What about the pressure of knowing what is possible? Because I know that got to some people as well, naturally. Have you found that's got to you, or have you stayed level-headed?
Yeah, honestly, I've stayed balanced and level-headed. I'm not someone that gets super excited when there's a bit of success comes along. I think just being around this industry and being here for quite a few years now, you can weed out who's real and who's fake. And the Falcon values are fantastic, and that's something that drew me to the company. And I think we've all got that safe, low risk, long-term approach. It's so sustainable with a growth mind. I mean, yeah, you don't need to be chasing stupid returns, and it's so important that we just stay in our own lane. That's just critical. Forget the noise, block it all off, and just do what you're doing. If you know your purpose and your why, you'll get there. Just have patience. So, yeah.
It's really easy. A committed man is not a distracted man. That's the one thing that stands out to me. A committed person isn't a distracted person, because when you commit to something, you don't get distracted, right? It's like when people enter into a marriage, for example, right? A committed person doesn't start looking anywhere else because you're committed. Same as things like you commit to a strategy. Well, then you commit to it. You don't just start looking. Like, that is distraction. So sometimes people don't realize it's their own lack of commitment to, no, I'm making this happen. Yeah. And they allow these little pathways of, I've had a bit of a bad month. Something shiny over there looks good. And they create this loop of just, they think that the grass is greener and that the challenge won't arise.
Yeah, and that's just it, man. How many people do we see come into this industry with unrealistic expectations? Like, if I just work for 3 months, 6 months, a year, I'm going to be rich. It's stupid. What other industry or profession can give you that path? And how arrogant to think that you can just come into something, dip your toe in the water, and be successful. Like, it's just...
Or really dabble as well. When people say, like, if I dabble in this... I was at a wedding recently, Brian, on Monday. One of my really good friends got married. And I had lots of conversations. Naturally, people come up to me, they ask me, like, you've been a financial trader for years, and if I was to do this and I was to commit, a couple of hours a week, how much do you think I would succeed? And then I was speaking to one person, right, that was really probing some questions. And I'm quite tolerant and I'm patient with people. And eventually, like, the mind is very, very skeptical. And he asked me the question. He said, so what's my chances of succeeding? I said, absolutely zero. Absolutely zero. I was like, you're the most skeptical person I've ever met in my life. I was like, and that alone, like, there's healthy skepticism, but then there's just full-blown skepticism. And when you have that, a closed mind will never succeed. You almost need an element of, and this is more of a life lesson, but just naiveness in life. Because certain things that I've achieved in my life, if I was to ask, let's say, a consultant's opinion on, what do you think of this logically? They'll give me a logical answer. My answers weren't logical in my head. Mine were quite airy-fairy in a way in the clouds, but sometimes you need an element of that, of blind belief that, no, I can do this. And just because other people don't see it, well, that's fine. And that's got me through to that.
Yeah,
and you need that in trading.
And you've got to set massive goals that scare you, and you've got to believe it can happen, but at the same time, bring a sense of reality to it as well.
Exactly.
So for me, I said, before kids and everything came along, I said, look, why not? The time's going to pass anyway. If this takes me 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I don't care. If I do this and stick to it, it will happen. Mm-hmm. And here we are, so. And
now you're in a position, so your account has now quadrupled, and it's such an amazing feeling. So when we structured this, of course, like I said, it took a little bit longer. It took a couple of years, and it took a couple of years for like the right reason. There's so much compliance. There's so many things behind the scenes that people don't realize that sometimes I'm doing and the team is doing, and making sure that people are safeguarded. My primary goal is to make sure that people have a safe environment that is sustainable, that they can actually put pen to paper and say, this is a life I want to live. Like a genuine, big, scary goals I want to live. What's the chances that I can actually succeed at that? And what's the pathway? There's the whole pathway. Even if you come from a poor background, doesn't matter. No excuses, like it's right there for you.
Yeah, it's awesome, Mark, and hats off to you and the team. I know how hard you've worked at that, and just knowing you and your values, you've really brought the right approach. You genuinely want to help people, and it's not about an ego thing, or it's not about a wealth thing. It's seeing people succeed and hit their goals. Oh, it's awesome. And you just touched on it. The way you've structured this funding program, it's no one's going to wake up and be trading $1 million, 2 million, 3 million. It's a gradual step-by-step process. You don't fluke it. You get there. It'll probably take years, but if you're not willing to do that, you're in the wrong place. And it's just such a cool pathway. So,
but it's deliberate.
Yeah,
It's deliberate from you. Like, Brian, you have done this deliberately. I didn't trade your account for you. No one traded your account for you. You placed those trades. You stuck to the risk management that was recommended. You was able to stay level-headed and not get your head in the clouds as to, oh, but I can make this and I can make that. You done what you needed to do. And that is something you should be very proud of, mate. It's very, especially when there's untapped potential of what you can do. Like, someone could think about, yeah, if I have $1 million, and they start counting the money and they kind of get too far ahead of themselves. Like, yes, that's possible. Understand what you have in front of you, but don't go so far that you forget simple risk management in the front end, that you can be patient with it. Like I've said, does it really matter? Let's say someone took an assessment. Let's say it took you 4 months, right? Let's say it took you 8 months. And then after that, you then doubled up again. And after a year, you were sitting at 320K or 600K. Would you really care that it took you 8 months? Like, you wouldn't. You'd be like, I'm at 600K, and guess what? I had the emotional strength to do this slowly for 8 months. But guess what? These people that have got money 100K like you had, you went through a challenge before, right? 6 figures very quickly, and then you lose it. How many people are doing that?
Exactly. Years ago, when you're not ready for it, it's not right. You haven't done the self-work and the mental work as well. Super important. So yeah, they go hand in hand. Yeah.
100%. A question for you, Brian, is that how have you felt from, because this is not your typical, get a quick assessment and then just get funded. Like, we have a community around this, right? We have funding webinars, we have support, peak performance. How have you felt that? Because that's a different kind of environment to what most people are used to. Because as you can imagine, you could be someone who's got 1 month experience. You just know a little bit about trading. You're not in a community. You don't have any support, and you've just got 6 figures because you fluked a challenge. How have you felt by having that support? How does that make you feel about the long run as well?
Yeah, and look, it's probably what differentiates Falcon. It's that community approach, because trading is and can be quite a lonely, profession. It's, we sit in an office or your bedroom or wherever you are in the world, all hours of the night sometimes. But with that, community brings a great support network. And I actually think that's been so important. If people are going through rough periods, if they need advice, if they need coaching, it's all there. It's all mapped out. Everything is there. Don't look over your shoulder. Don't look at what that guy's doing. Don't look at the other company. It's all here. The people are here. The skill set's all mapped out. There's thousands of hours of content. Everything is there to succeed. You've just got to dedicate yourself and put in the work. That's the key. So community is super important. And something as I scale up and grow myself within my journey, keen to give back and help those coming through. If I can do it, seriously, anyone can do it.
And I love that. I absolutely love that, Brian. And again, isn't it just so interesting about you attract like-minded people, right? Instead of you just thinking about your goals, your instinct is already thinking about that you want to give back. That's what I love. And those are the type of people that I wanted to attract, because when I started in this industry of actual Falcon, I wanted to make sure I went against the grain and done something completely different. All I saw was ego-central. And I realized that was the very thing destroying so many people. I used to see it everywhere thinking, why have you got ego? Like, your ego is the very thing that will actually ruin your results. But they weren't even aware to it. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to completely flip it on its head and go by my values, not by what the industry is used to. Like, I'm a trader and like I know this. Get rid of that crap. We're here to help each other, right? We're here to actually support each other and push each other, because we all have our own goals. This is a very, very lonely thing. Sometimes you're going to need people for support. Think about your journey, right? You've been here for a while, you've been patient, and now you're in this position. When your account then starts doubling and you start to hit $250,000 and more, you don't know what the figure is, but there may be different emotional challenges that hit you that you weren't even ready for, and you think, oh, I've got 360K now, like, or 400, whatever that number is. Well, then you have someone to lean on. You have someone to be able to vent, if you like, to say, look, this is what I'm doing. Can you have just a quick look over my shoulder and make sure that everything's in place? It could be a little bit of nerves, and then you have someone there to be able to say, you're doing the right thing. And sometimes that's all you need. That's all you need.
Super important, isn't it? And I'm very careful about who I take advice from and who I listen to about certain opinions. You know, it's like everyone's an investor when you talk about Bitcoin or something. I'm in the office here at work and everyone's a professional and, oh, you should buy this stock. So be really careful who you take your advice from. But yeah, like you say, there's going to be different challenges along the way as we scale up. But we've got tangible examples and real people in our community that are doing it, including yourself. So yeah, it's an awesome place to be. Yes,
best feeling. Like, it's so good. I can't even put into words, Brian, like how it makes me feel. Do you know why? Because this is the 4-minute mile. This is the Roger Bannister. Like, one person does it, then 20, 30, 40, 50 people more do it. Sometimes one person just needs to get over the line to see it's possible. Right, and there's a much bigger vision to that as well. When I was mapping all this out, and the other day I was looking through old journals and seeing things like the virtual, we're working on the virtual floor as well, like the virtual fund, all these things, and just visualizing there will be a day very, very soon that all of us meet up together in a different country from different parts of the world, and we sit there and we cheers each other and say, made it happen. Yeah, like, we made it happen. Like, it's moments like that I live for, that I'm just like,
yeah.
You know
that's
what I mean?
Dubai meetup, right?
Yes, that's it. I literally, I can see this so clearly. I can't even explain how much I've gone into detail on it. And it's just moments like that. I want it for everybody. And I want people to start to learn to take more extreme ownership, right? You don't strike me as someone that sits there and complains and moans and blames. Like, you fully understand what you have in front of you, and you've been patient with it, and you've leveraged it, and you've not developed this weak mindset that if something doesn't go right for you for a year, you're like, oh, this isn't working. Like, you just cracked on, and now look at the position that you are in. Many others that are going to follow that. So good.
Yeah, for sure. And it's super cool for you, Mark. I know how long you've had this dream and vision of this company, and to see it come to life. I know I'm like the first guy that's got through the funding assessment, but I know there's going to be many more. And I was saying earlier, I can't believe I'm the first. There's so many good traders in this community. So we're all going to level up together, and, as you say, future meetups and some really cool things. And there's going to be networking within that. There's going to be other businesses formed within that community, and some cool things are going to happen. For sure.
Lifelong friends have happened within Falcon already, right? And that's the beautiful thing around it. You are the average of the 5 people. Choose your friends wisely. Well, this is exactly it. When we're all meeting up and people are at 6 figures, low 6 figures, then high 6 figures, and some people on 7 figures, like, that's who you're surrounding yourself with. Imagine that. You're just like, right, oh, by the way, there will be a point in time where even just kind of mini groups offer that, to say, we fancy a meetup in Melbourne. Who's coming? Like, yeah, I'm in Singapore. I'll just head over. Like, it will just be so normal and casual. And I cannot wait for that moment. I really can't. And leading on from that, the main thing I wanted to ask you, Brian, which is, what are your future goals? And how do you feel about your goals right now, as to what's your outlook for the next kind of, to the end of the year and beyond?
Yeah. So look, exciting times, and it's a big milestone. I've never been very good at celebrating my wins. First of all, I'm quite a humble guy, and I just kind of, what's next? What am I doing now?
Same.
But big moment, and the wife's been super, positive, and she supports me from day one. So it's awesome, and we'll celebrate that on the quiet with a glass of champagne or something. But look, as I move forward, I think it's just that scale. We're going to move through it, and like I said, I'm not putting timelines on it. I'm not going to put unrealistic goals on it. Happens when it happens. So yeah, just trading up through the levels, really breaking through the mental barriers that come. So keep working on my mind and my skill set. High 6 figures into the 7 figures. We'd love a seat on your virtual trading floor when that kicks off.
So good, man.
That's for sure. But what's crazy, man, I just want to sort of quickly mention something I wrote in 2016, right? So before Falcon, before kids, before I was married, I wrote out my life's purpose statement, just to try and visualize some goals and set some things up. So I'll just quickly read this paragraph. It's like reality's catching up with my vision. It's crazy, man. So my purpose is to be a consistently profitable Forex trader, firstly with my own funds, then set up an investment company and accept private and third-party investment. That's literally happening right now. I'll be free from a job or a fixed location. I'll have financial freedom where I can spend quality time with my family and travel as often as desired. The business will generate large amounts of disposable income to pursue property development projects, invest in startup businesses, and grow a diversified portfolio. We live in our dream home. I own my dream car. It's a Porsche, by the way. I'm a man after your own heart. I choose how to spend my time, and I'm surrounded by high-level, inspirational people. I allocate a portion of the profits to a children's charity, and I give back some of my time through volunteering projects. So something way before
Wow.
Falcon, way before any of this happened. I wrote that in 2016.
That's
And
crazy.
it's literally happening, man. So
Yeah, that must feel like,
yeah.
well, sometimes overwhelming, but almost like you have to pinch yourself. Like when you look at those words that you wrote, like your words, and you see that manifest. I mean, I fully resonate with that. Like it gives me goosebumps every single time that I read things like that. But people just don't get it. You know, when you do, like, how does that feel? You reading that?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I only pulled it out a couple months ago when I knew I was in this challenge. And
Wow.
again, when I passed the challenge, and then you reached out to have a chat, and I thought, you know what, I've got to mention that because that's not just luck.
No.
I've literally made that happen.
There you go.
And, you know, not there yet, but it's happening. You know,
you're on the way, and you're very present with it. That's the one thing that I notice in all successful people. They're very present with where they are, and do you know why? It's because it's so much in-depth visualization, and you strike me as someone who does visualize a lot, and you're clearly very present and connected to your goals. That's what happens when you're clear.
Yeah, and I go into great detail. Like every goal is broken down into granular detail, and you know specifics, because I think that makes it so important. And the neural pathways, it connects it and it makes it happen. You know,
it makes it real. It makes it. The brain doesn't know the difference. And the more, the crazy thing about the mind is that the more specific you are, the better, and the more chances that your mind actually believes that it's already real. And what's really efficient about our mind is that if we believe something to be true, our mind doesn't know the difference. So what does it do? It starts to actionably, subconsciously move towards it.
Yeah.
And that is the program. That's the powerful wiring of the program in our mind that can do that. And it's it's such a good feeling for you. And it's so good that you obviously have support as well from your wife, and you're building a family, you're building a future. So good to see,
for
Brian.
sure. Yeah, young family. And you know, in this journey of trading, financial markets, investing, it's difficult. People around you often don't understand, and they come across, and they're doing it from a place of love. They don't understand, so they can be a bit negative, and they don't share the same vision or goals as you. But it's purely out of protection and love. It's not coming from a bad place.
Exactly.
No, honestly, my wife's a super supportive person. She gets it. She buys into it. She wants me to succeed. So yeah, that's important, and we're kind of on the same page there. So yeah.
That's all you can ask for, you know, when you have support around you, because whether you like it or not, you know, some people don't, and it will rub off on people, which is why sometimes you've got to work with what you've got, right? If it's not always pleasant, work with what you've got. You know, I didn't always have the support. It is what it is. You move on. And then I started to surround myself with people that did support me. Like you have your wife, right? She fully supports you, and I'm sure you have that little champagne glass together, which will be super exciting. You should, mate. Honestly, you should be proud of yourself, because it's not even just about passing the challenge. It's like all of that work and mental focus and patience and discipline leading up to a point, which is why I always talk about you do not get rich quick, but you can make money fast. And when people understand that concept, because the reality is you double again, before you know it, you're at 720K. It's like, okay, you've made 5% or 10%. It's like, oh, that happened quick. No, it didn't. It took 4 years to happen. And then it started to come into fruition. So you do not get rich quick, but you can make money fast. And the most people that understand that concept happens in property. You mentioned about in your life purpose thing in property as well. Happens the same thing then. I remember my brother as well, literally for years and years, every single deal was like a loss leader, break even, or it was a loss, didn't make money. And then suddenly after 5 years, you make 300K profit. And then you use that money to go into a next deal. And then you're at 900K profit. You're like, what? I didn't make no money for 4 years. And now I'm at like 7 figures.
Exactly. And that's what people look at. They're like, how long have you been learning to trade? What have you been doing here? And how much have you made? You're like, don't worry about it. You don't understand.
Exactly.
One day you'll look at me and I'll make a year's salary in one trade or in a month. And you'll be like, oh shit, wow.
Literally.
There you go.
I remember, I'll share this with you, Brian. I remember I was in a coffee shop ordering a cappuccino, and I looked over and I ordered the cappuccino over, and it was something like 27 or 28,000 pounds in a trade, right? And I was just sitting there, just low key, just with my laptop, and I just looked over and I thought, what are the chances They would realize, you know, like, not in an arrogant way or any ego or anything like that, but it just made, because it was literally, when I was visualizing quitting my job and doing these things, I used to go to that coffee shop on like a £2,000 account, £2,000. Well, I used to make like £28 profit, and sitting there fully belief with no one around me to talk to, that one day I'll be back in this coffee shop and I'll make like, back then I thought like even £1,000 in a trade would be like ridiculous, or even a £10,000 trade, which I remember on pound dollar, first 10K day, it was 10,585 on pound dollar, best feeling in the world. I was like, it's happening. Like, it's happening now. So I just remember it's moments like that to realize, do you know what?
Yeah, that's crazy,
I don't care whether it's a year salary, 100K, £1 million profit, whatever happens, I will be true to myself, and I'll be exactly. And it was that moment made me realize that nothing bothers me, because that could have been the moment to really change, but no, I felt fine.
That's so cool, and I hope you bought a large coffee after that.
Quite a few panini, carrot cake, everything.
For the whole shop.
Yeah,
but you know what, like for me, it's never been about the money. The money is just the tool that gives you, opens up a whole load of opportunity and decisions you want, and the lifestyle, really. It's to spend the time with the people you want, to travel, to do things you start up other businesses, help people, you know, but let's not beat around the bush. You need money to do those things, right? So that's what gives us the kind of motivation. It's these bigger things. It's not just the money. It's linked to a much deeper purpose. So
the freedom behind it, and it sounds like you're quite clear on what that looks like to you. As to what would it look like? Have you got plans to? You might enjoy your job? Are you going to do that alongside, or will you be quitting at a certain stage?
I don't think I'll quit anytime soon. A decent job. I mean, I've been in this industry for 20 years now, so I've got to a position where it's a good job. Do I see myself always doing it? Probably not. I'd like to think when trading replaces and surpasses my income, I would like to step back from the kind of rat race or the corporate life, and pursue those other things that I mentioned. So yeah, look, if that's a year, if it's 2 years, whatever it is, I think it'll probably happen when I'm ready to do it.
And that's why it will happen. It will happen because you're not trying to force it. You're just very present with where you are. You're happy, you're content in the sense that you know you've got a good job, you can do that, and you can keep scaling up. And there'll be one day that I'm sure we will jump on a call and you will just say, it's time now. Like, you will know yourself, and you'll financially be at a stage where these are the projects that I'm going to pursue. These are the next things that I'm going to do. I can't wait for that moment, Brian. Honestly, I really can't, genuinely.
100%. Yeah. No, I look forward to shaking your hand, and we'll have a beer. And
100%.
There's just so many cool things ahead. So yeah.
So many exciting things ahead. Brian, any kind of last words that you would recommend to maybe people going through the challenge of the best sort of a approach, and just like how you felt during this process, and just overall in general, like patience about trading?
Yeah. So look, I think we've touched on some important points. What I would say is, just know that you know when you're ready to take on a challenge. Don't rush these things. There is literally no rush. If you want this bad enough, it will happen. But don't let that eagerness, or don't rush through things. Take your time with the content. I mean, I'm 3.5 years in. I'm by no means the quickest learner. I've not picked this up super quick and gone through it like some guys have. But who cares? Like you said, in a year, 2 years, I'm not going to look back and think, shit, I should have done that a bit quicker. So take your time. Just extend out all of your timelines. Don't set unrealistic expectations on yourself. Risk management, super important. Don't mess about with risk. It's there for a reason. The numbers work. And stick to your plan. Once you hit that consistency, we know what we're doing. We've got a plan. Stick to it. That's all it is. And just have patience.
100%. And I think you've done that as well. That's the one thing with your challenge that stuck out, is that you stuck to that risk all the way through. You done what you was meant to do, and then guess what? Patient with it. It happens, and then miraculously, what happens? You pass, and you just keep moving forward. It's not rocket science, but I think that's absolutely spot on. Don't allow your eagerness to want to succeed, because some people mistake that for almost, but I just want it so bad. I want it to happen, and they almost let that passion consume them, and it actually works against you. So sometimes you have to take a step back and say, yes, I work my arse off. Yes, I show up every day, but stop expecting something to just magically happen. It will happen for you when you least expect it.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, sometimes, I mean, people think, well, but I put in 100 hours last week. This should be happening for me. But the market doesn't care. It doesn't give a shit who you are, what experience you've got, how many trades you've put on, what your account is. It doesn't care. The market will humble you in a second. So take your ego and just move aside and,
leave it at the door.
Yeah.
Leave that ego at the door.
Yeah.
No, love it. Love it, Brian. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on, share your experience, jumping on the podcast as well. I'm sure it will inspire a lot of people, and I look forward to just seeing your progress. You've got me here. You need anything, you just reach out, and let's keep it moving forward, mate. But proud of you. Big congrats.
Thanks, man. It's been a hell of a journey, and I feel like it's just the beginning. The training wheels are off now, and time to scale up and really get into it. But just quick special shout out to the coaches, Neil, Benny, Abdu. They've been a massive part in my journey as well, jumping on the live sessions we have twice a week. So yeah, thanks to those guys. But yeah, cheers, man.
That's awesome. What it's about. 100%. Appreciate it, Brian. Catch you real soon.
Okay. Take care. Cheers, Mark.
Take care, dude.